Hi, my name is Tom Heffel, and this channel is all about helping students learn chemistry. In this video, we're going to talk about the different units that you can have in calorimetry, because there's three vocabulary words that sound very, very similar to each other, and I want to take the time so that we can differentiate between the three. The first one is probably going to be the most common one that you see, and it's called specific heat capacity. Now, most teachers will cut off that last word, and a lot of times they'll just refer to this as specific heat. The variable for specific heat is going to be the lowercase c, okay? And it has the units of joules per gram degrees Celsius, which is going to be different than the units in these other two vocabulary words, okay? The one thing that you should know is probably the specific heat of water. It's equal to 4.184 joules per gram degrees Celsius, which means if I wanted to heat up 1 gram of water 1 degree Celsius, I would have to supply 4.184 joules of energy, okay? And this is always like on a per gram and per degree Celsius. So the more grams you have or the more degrees Celsius you want to increase, the more energy you're going to need, okay? Heat capacity takes into account the mass already. And the variable for heat capacity is going to be capital C, okay? And it's going to have the units of joules per degree Celsius. So the only difference between these two is this one has the per gram and this one does not, because it already takes into account the mass. The equation for capital C, or heat capacity, is going to be the mass times the specific heat. So really it just takes the specific heat and it multiplies by however much material that you have. So the more material you have, the larger the heat capacity. Let me give you two examples. Let's talk about water and it having a heat capacity at 10 grams of water versus the heat capacity of 100 grams of water. Remember, we're just going to take the mass times the specific heat, okay? So in this example, the mass is just 10 grams, and we're going to multiply it by 4.184 joules per gram degrees Celsius, and we multiply this number by 10, this number comes out to be 41.84. Remember, the grams are going to cancel out, okay? And that's going to be left with joules per degree Celsius. So if I had 10 grams of water, I would need to heat it up 41.84 joules for each degree that I want that 10 grams of water to go up, okay? We would do the same thing for 100 grams, but now it's 100. So 100 times 4.184 means that you would need a lot more energy, 418.4 joules, to heat this substance up 1 degree. Why so much more here than here? It's because you have a lot more water. If you have a lot more water, it's going to take a lot more energy to heat it up 1 degree Celsius each time, okay? So specific heat, it's kind of nice because we can vary the amount, okay, because it's on a per gram basis. With heat capacity, the mass is set, okay? It's either going to be 10 grams or it's going to be 100 grams or whatever the system is. The mass is already set for heat capacity, okay? Now, molar heat capacity is very, very similar to specific heat, okay? Just instead of being on a per gram basis, it's going to be on a per mole basis. So if we had this value of 4.184 joules per gram degrees Celsius, okay? This is a specific heat of water, and I wanted to put it on a per mole basis, all I would do is a little bit of dimensional analysis. I want to cancel out the gram, so it's on the bottom. So if I want to cancel out, I'm going to put it on the top. And I want to put it on a per mole basis. So all I'm going to do is use the molar mass of water, which is 18 grams per mole. And when I take 4.184, okay, and multiply it by 18, let me do that really quick. 4.184 times 18 tells me that this equals 75.3. Now let's focus in on the units because that's part of the lesson, okay? The grams are going to cancel out, so I'm going to have joules per mole degrees Celsius. Joules per mole degrees Celsius. So the units over here is going to be joules per mole degrees Celsius instead of joules per gram degrees Celsius. So we got three vocabulary words that sound very, very similar. Specific heat capacity, or simply specific heat, sounds really close to heat capacity, which sounds really close to molar heat capacity. But as you can see, their units are going to be very different. So the units can kind of tell you kind of like what kind of like vocabulary word that you're actually talking about. So I hope this information was helpful. If you felt like this information was helpful and you enjoy this type of content, please give it a like and subscribe. Leaving a comment always pushes the information out to other students that might be interested in learning chemistry.